Hello and welcome to Real Talk.
Within these next 3 episodes, we will be discussing how the media industry has been affected by the pandemic.
In our final episode, we are going to be talking about the future of cinema and how lockdown restrictions have forced filmmakers to make creative choices when coming to their recent films. Please do note that this current podcast, like all the other ones, contains strong language from the start and throughout. Okay, 3, 2, 1, here we go. So next, let's try and talk about, obviously, the big blockbuster productions that have been affected. So obviously, as we just said there, HBO Max, everyone's probably going to be sick of hearing that word, but it has affected a lot of productions. It's like the Marvel films, for example. If you look at Black Widow and all that, that's been delayed. It's ridiculous. And it's like the New Mutants as well. If anyone doesn't know about the New Mutants, it was meant to come out in 2018. So, that pretty much goes to show. And, that was just pretty much, to cut it simply, it was just a massive clusterfuck of just studios interfering with each other and just not getting out the actual director's vision of the final film.
And lots of reshoots as well.
And reshoots and everything like that, and God knows what else.
Yeah.
It was a massive shit show.
It was really disappointing, actually, because when I saw the trailer, I was actually quite impressed with it, and then when it actually turned out to be...
I like the idea of it. It's like, I do like the approach when Marvel does go the sort of Logan route. I do like that, and that's what they tried to get across with this, that sort of dark, gritty, sort of really intense horror-inspired film, which I would actually buy into. I mean, the idea of a mutants horror film does sound pretty cool, but I just think the fact that obviously Disney bought Fox in that time and wanted to make it all family friendly and PG-13, and we don't want any blood because that will dilute our market share and fucking and all that sort of stuff, It just goes to show, I think that's the problem with Disney, is they just can't seem to branch past their target market. In short, I understand it's a very successful target market, but I think they should try and venture past PG-13.
Yeah, definitely.
Because sure, The Mandalorian's violent, but it is still kind of like a PG-13 film. And but yeah, I do think Disney should try and reinvent, what they are, and they should try and experiment a little bit, just because it is, you need to branch out more to get your market.
I agree.
And they did actually say in an interview that they are going to be putting Deadpool as like a separate thing. So they are getting there, really, because
they're getting there.
Deadpool is like an R-rated, very violent superhero film. So
yeah.
They are getting there at least. But yeah, I just think Disney should have just let... And I know they are a major studio and they wanted to tie it into the MCU. I kind of get that a little bit for brand unification, but quite frankly, why can't you just experiment a little bit? Because Joss Whedon, at least he had a good idea. That's the thing. At least he had a decent idea for a different X-Men film. And if I remember, it was the same way that Logan went as well. It's like Logan, obviously, James Mangold, he wanted to make Logan what it was, a gritty R-rated film. But Fox refused them many times because obviously they wanted to still keep it PG-13. Because that would make it more successful. But luckily Fox gave in and told him that he could make his R-rated film. And look what we got there. Logan is amazing. I mean,
it's a bit like the Fox are just dragging productions down, really.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't surprise me that Disney bought them, It's just... Yeah. But anyways, it's quite surprising how that film managed to come out during the worst of times. And from what I've heard from many reviews, I haven't seen it, but it is literally just a muddled mess. It's just like a group of people just got together and didn't know what the hell they were doing with what they were given. And yeah, I just wanted to talk about, obviously, more about Marvel as well, how, they very much have dominated the market. It's like, if you look at the box office results of the past couple of years, it's like Disney, last year, they were 6 out of the top 10 films. 6. that doesn't show studio domination. I mean, come on. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? How one studio are able to control so many franchises all at once. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, you know, there's even crazier stuff like The Lion King grossed $1 billion. But yeah, I just personally think, you know, it's crazy how one studio is able to achieve all of that in 1 year.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, my God. And there was a great quote that I did see from Edgar Wright, who obviously is a really good director. He's directed all sorts. But he said that if he had a wish, it would be so that the studios, on top of their one franchise film a year, make one original screenplay film every year as well, or just one original film. And to be fair, I do kind of agree with it. And luckily, Christopher Nolan, to be fair, say what you want about him, but at least he makes original films, so you get what I mean? Yeah. And he's so lucky to be in a position where he can get given $200 million and make an original film, and everyone will go and see it. Like, sure, you know, Tenet bombed, but still, it made a decent amount of money.
Yeah.
But yeah, Christopher Nolan's lucky in that way, but I wish more of the studios took that into exceptions. And even just giving their franchises just a little bit difference. I mean, I would be more happy, you know, say if they did make, and sure, I do believe the R rating is sometimes a little bit overrated, no pun intended. I do think that, you know, it is sometimes just used for a marketing gimmick, but there are interesting stories in franchises that I think could work well with an R rating. I think studios really need to get back to the age of the 70s and 80s, where they allow for a little bit more experimentation. And even if they just give the person 10 million just to make a film, that would still give them enough to make a decent art house film. I mean, you know,
for sure.
Personally, for me, you know, in like the big business mindset that these guys are, but I do wish that they gave smaller filmmakers, even if it's just like 1 million. I mean, just the fact for them to make a small film with a bit more creative control. Because that's the thing, is if you gave them the money, you can just say if the film did terribly wrong, well, that was the filmmaker's intention. We didn't handle with any of that. But luckily we are getting that with A24, if you've ever heard of them. They're like a new studio who are giving small amounts of money to filmmakers, and they're making experimental art house films, which are getting pretty good, decent Oscar nominations, you know. So it does definitely work. I mean, the strategy does work an awful lot in Hollywood, so I wish the bigger studios gave that bit of an opportunity, you know. So yeah. Right, I think that about does it. Have we got any closing points at all?
I agree with basically everything you've said, really. Hopefully we'll get back to normality soon, and just to cover all the 3 episodes, I wish we get back into cinemas, and obviously with the Warner Brothers thing, I see why that's annoyed a lot of people with
well, if they don't contact their own filmmakers, then I think that's not the best business strategy to go by. Not at all.
No.
Not at bloody all.
But I think that wraps it up mainly for me.
Yep, okay, right. That about does it. Thank you so much to everyone who's been listening over the last hour. Can't believe you listened to both of our voices for that long. We really do commend you for that. But apart from that, thank you all so much for listening. Take care, goodbye, and see you very, very soon.